There's something about golf that just makes it an incredibly peaceful sport. It not only allows you to connect with other players, but also lets you get some exercise while relaxing. The best of both worlds. Now, who wouldn't want that? In today's video, we'll be talking about 10 facts about golf that we bet you didn't know. So stay tuned. Some of these might shock you. Let's get right into it. First up, golf was actually banned once. Now, you won't expect such a calm sport to be linked with huge controversies, let alone face an actual ban, but think again. Golf, with the LIV League and PGA Tour drama, has been a constant source of gossip, but surprisingly, this isn't the first time the sport has been a target of controversy. In fact, it was actually banned in Scotland 3 times between 1457 and 1744. Now that's definitely shocking, but why did this happen? Well, before it became the sport of the elite, golf was actually seen as a nuisance or something that would disturb public peace. Shocking, right? This is probably due to the fact that people would publicly urinate on the streets and even on business properties. So, things actually do make sense if you put them this way. Another interesting thing about this ban is the fact that the sport interfering with military training was also a driving factor behind it. And here's another interesting fact. Soccer was also banned during this time because it was seen as a disruptive sport. Yikes. Up next, Scotland is the birthplace of golf. Now, this is quite an interesting turn of events. That's right, the same people who banned golf were actually the ones who invented it in the first place. The origin of the sport dates back to 1457, and even though not much is known about its inception, there's a widely held belief that it was created somewhere in the Middle Ages. Interestingly, Scotland also happens to be the place where the first ever round of women's golf was played in Musselburgh, Scotland in 1811. What's interesting about the first version of this sport is that the balls were initially made of feathers that were wrapped in leather. These special kinds of balls were used till around the 1850s, and after this, they were made of wood. Another fun fact about these balls is that they flew much farther than the ones we have in contemporary golf. Next on the list is Tiger Woods and his very early hole-in-one. Now, we know Tiger Woods as perhaps the best golfer of all time, despite his extremely controversial reputation, and seems like he started showing his talents pretty early. Interestingly, he showed an inclination toward golf at just 6 months old, and his father started training him when he was only 2 years old. And well, after finding his one true love, the young Woods started practicing regularly, and seems like all of it worked out for him since he got his first hole-in-one at just 8 years of age. Now, Woods and his 82 PGA tournaments. So, seems like all that practice as a young kid was very helpful since it's all now reflected in his performance. The champ has won around 82 PGA tournaments till today. What's surprising is that he isn't the only player with the highest number of tournaments won. This honor is also held by Sam Snead, who has also 82 tournament wins to his name. Well, if Woods' health cooperates with him and his injuries cause no more problems, then we can expect him to cross that milestone. And honestly, it would be really fun to see him become the king of golf once and for all. Jack Nicklaus is third in line for this record with 73 tournament wins. And what's interesting is that Nicklaus actually holds more major wins under his belt than Tiger Woods. That's right, Woods only has 15 majors, and his competition on the other hand has 15. Another cool thing about Nicklaus is that he was the first golfer who successfully managed to defend his Masters title. Next up, lefty is actually right-handed? This might come as a shock to you guys, but hang in there. Phil Mickelson has built a reputation for himself in the world of golf and is widely known as lefty. Now, this is of course due to the fact that he uses his left hand to play the sport, but what's really cool is that he's a right-handed person when it comes to all other things. So what's the reason behind this? Turns out that he started playing golf at a very young age, and since his father was left-handed, he just mirrored his swing. Okay, that's actually very wholesome. Following up, many golfers have a handicap above 18. You know, there are actually around 29 million people in America who play golf, and outside of the States, there are almost 30 million golfers. But despite such high numbers, only a few people have a handicap of less than 18. And by few, we mean a total estimate limit of 20% of the players. That's shocking, right? But why is that so? Well, some professional players have handicaps of 4 and 6, but they are very less in number. You see, many people don't really play this game in hopes to make a career out of it. To a lot of the players, it's just a hobby. And if you want to leave 80% of the golfers behind and work for a handicap above 18, then you'll need a lot of practicing and training. Now, let's hear about wooden golf balls. So, the first ever golf ball, which was made of feathers and leather, didn't exactly give the best results as it was comparatively light and would move further than expected. So people thought that it was time to innovate. And guess what they chose as the new material for the ball? That's right, the good old wood. Now, you might think that this is strange, and believe us, you're not the only one. Apparently, these balls were used between the 14th and 17th centuries, which also happens to be the same time when the sport was banned. We can only imagine that many windows of official buildings were broken by impromptu golf tournaments. The main reason why they chose a wooden golf ball was that this material was widely used in other games, such as stick and ball, so maybe it was all for convenience? Moving on, here's more on the leather balls. Maybe leather balls in golf would have been much more entertaining and easier to play with. That's probably why they removed them from the game completely. But here are some unknown facts about these primitive golf balls. So, the manufacturers would actually use wet feathers when making the balls and then would wrap them around leather. Apparently, this would result in dried feathers around leathers. Now, in hindsight, that really doesn't look like a very good idea and just seems unnecessarily complicated. And that actually turned out to be the main problem, or at least one of the main problems. The entire ball making process was just too time consuming, and the end product was in no shape or form reliable. So they let go of this idea and went for wooden balls instead. Coming up next, a hole-in-one isn't as easy as it sounds. Actually, scratch that. It doesn't sound easy at all. But there are some players who make the entire thing look very achievable. Well, we're here today to crush your dreams. The chances of actually making the shot are 12,500 to 1. Yikes. That just sounds way too difficult. But hey, this means that if you're struggling with that particular shot, then you don't need to doubt your playing skills. It's just that the odds aren't in your favor at all. Besides, the size of these golf holes makes it practically impossible to achieve this goal, and many professional golfers end up spending their entire career striving to make the shot. Lastly, here are some general facts about the game. Now, we know that making a hole-in-one is pretty much next to impossible, but what about 2 hole-in-ones in a single game? The chances of hitting that are 1 in 67 million. Yikes. Seems too good to be true. You'll be shocked to know though that earlier this year, a 17-year-old boy, Alex Elia, ended up making 2 hole-in-ones in the same round. And when it comes to the PGA Tour, only 3 players have managed to do this. Bill Weeden accomplished this in 1955. Yusaku Miyazato managed to do it in 2006, and then Brian Harman did it in 2015. Unbelievable, right? Speaking of unbelievable, here's another cool thing about golf. It was actually played on the moon. That's crazy, right? Alan Bartlett Shepard Jr. played the sport on the moon using a 6-iron. Now, we can totally understand how the low gravity would make this an obvious choice. Even we'd like to do that. And can you even imagine how long the putts would be? On Earth, the longest putt ever recorded was 375 feet, which is amazing in itself, but we bet the ball could go on for much longer on the moon. That's a wrap for this video, folks. Which of these facts about golf is your favorite? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this. See you in the next one with the latest updates.